2003 was a great time to own an Xbox. Max Payne 2, Freedom Fighters, Tony Hawk's Underground, Soul Calibur 2. Jesus, that box art is trash. Oh, and KOTOR. We were spoiled with all manner of games from every genre. The controller cable even had a breakaway so you couldn't trip on it and destroy your console. How cool was that? But anyway, Crimson Skies. It's now on Xbox Game Pass and easily playable on Xbox consoles and PC. So with lots of fans and newcomers eyeing it, I felt it was the perfect time to check out what many call an Xbox classic. This is a Crimson Skies Retrospective. Like always, we'll be going over the game's story, so here's your spoiler warning. It's the 1930s. The US has broken up into sovereign territories and airship travel is the primary mode of transportation, all of which is a great excuse for sky pirates. We play as Nathan Zachary, leader of the Fortune Hunters, a pirate gang. He's also a gambling addict, which is how our story begins.
Problem with the high stakes table, Nathan. A few bad hands and you could lose everything. Your Zeppelin, your money, your plane. A man should never mix his champagne with poker.
Nathan gambles away his money, his gang Zeppelin, and too many of his polygons to another pirate gang. Getting them back and meeting our crew serves as the tutorial. We meet up with our wingwoman, Betty.
You gambled away our Zepp?
I'll fill you in on the details as soon as I remember them.
Nate mentions to her that Big John, our Zeppelin pilot, disappeared during last night's poker game. She guides us through the tutorial, then y'all explore Skyhaven together, taking on some side missions while seeking out Big John's whereabouts. The game's levels are broken up into these small open world areas that we travel to in a linear fashion. There's not a lot of variety in terms of side missions, but it's better than nothing. There'll generally be one time trial and maybe a destroy or defend X mission, aside from the main story missions. It's an easy way to get some cash.
Lucky run, Zachary.
But the story missions are where most of the variety comes from.
This is my plan now.
Yeah, well, you win some, you lose some.
Speaking of which, we'll use cash to upgrade our planes as well as these tokens you can find around the map. They're a neat incentive to get you to explore, and it's fun flying around looking for them. To get more planes, all you gotta do is find them around the map and swap to pilot them. They'll then be added to our Zeppelin, which we can swap to at any time outside of a mission. There are all kinds of planes to choose from, but they don't vary all that much. They'll have a primary weapon with unlimited ammo and a secondary special fire with limited ammo. There's no gameplay distinctions beyond that, except for one, the gyrocopter, which we'll get to later on. After cruising around for a bit, we receive a distress call from our old pal Doc. He's being attacked by sky pirates. After fighting them off, Doc tells us that they were likely after his plans for a super weapon.
What is it?
A wind turbine.
He worked alongside another scientist, Von Essen, whom he believes is behind this recent attack. Doc asks Nathan to hold on to his plans, which he has kept for some reason, so that Von Essen can't get his hands on them. In a bit of clever foreshadowing I didn't catch the first time, he also tells us to
Trust no one.
We leave and find out that Big John has been taking jobs for a local arms dealer. They ask for our help in destroying a hidden base housing some militiamen who are being paid to stamp out piracy. This mission only serves as a pacing device, but it's pretty fun. We have to fly into their base when they send out more fighters, as that's the only time the door opens. The game takes advantage of its smooth flight controls by tasking you with flying in some pretty narrow environments. So we destroy the base, fly out, then destroy their Zeppelin. After which, we receive another distress call from Doc. This is the first time you fly in weather that's not just sunny, and it looks great. The weather effects on the camera, the droplets that change direction depending on the angle of your plane, the lightning strikes, and all the awesome particle effects. It works really well. Dogfighting between two massive Zeppelins really shows off the original Xbox's capabilities. This Zeppelin has a lot of, we'll say, German influence. The only way to damage it is to attack the exposed generator. But the fight's not over yet, as the Zeppelin's nose turns into a spider tank. Did they plan for the Zeppelin to explode so they could use the spider tank? Is it a contingency plan? I'm probably overthinking it. The game's obviously leaning into campiness, and I think it does a great job. F's in chat for spider tank as it explodes, no doubt ensuring everyone on board suffers a grisly, agonizing death. Ooh, 2 upgrade tokens. Nice. We find Doc dead. Doc! And next to his corpse a ring with a spider emblem. Indiana Jones and crew head to Erixio, the last place he visited before his death. We're looking for a titanium mine, because that's the material required for the super weapon to be built. Like Skyhaven, Erixio has a pirate problem, but not us, we're the good pirates. We take on some more missions and unlock a gyrocopter. A neat little helicopter with a sniper as the secondary weapon. I never used them outside of a handful of missions, but felt it's a shame the game's aircraft selection is so limited in terms of unique aircraft. During a mission, we meet Maria.
Something I can help you with?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is the, station owner around?
You're looking at her. Name's Maria.
You own this place? If I didn't know better, I'd say I was looking at a desert mirage.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
You been tangling with Los Dos Muertos?
Afraid so. Run!
Is it realistic? No. Is it fun? Yes. Crimson Skies wears its Indiana Jones inspiration on its sleeve.
My hanger! Great! That's just beautiful!
She's a bit annoyed at us destroying her hangar, but we strike a deal. She knows where and will lead us to the titanium mine if she can join us. We oblige and we set off, but run into a problem. The mine is on the other side of Navajo territory. The Navajo will allow us to pass if we complete 3 trials. Lots of deal making going on. Like before, this is simply a way to control the game's pacing and give it some padding, but it's pretty bad. The first trial is simply shooting targets from a Zeppelin's turret. For the second, you follow the chief around a tight canyon. And for the last, we lead a bandit Zeppelin into an ambush. We use the canyon as cover, hop into a turret, and destroy it. After completing the trials, bandits attack sacred Navajo statues, which we must now defend. This mission's pretty engaging. You got multiple Zeppelins and aircraft as well as some ground turrets. Lots of stuff going on. Like any sane person, we attempt to get the hell out of Nevada, which means an escort mission. Specifically, we're escorting a convoy of trucks, which is giving me Rain of Fire flashbacks. We find the titanium mine and start fighting with the Red Skull Legion, who are currently running it. Nathan knows the leader of the Red Skulls, a guy named Khan who operates out of Chicago. As we're leaving and have the Red Skulls on the ropes, they bring in a giant metal worm.
Heads up!
It's no Alaskan bullworm, but it's close. It's impressive watching it squirm around the canyons, crushing Zeppelins and otherwise being a nuisance. Before it attacks a Zeppelin, it'll rear up its head, I guess, and open its mouth. Obviously, you're going to want to fire some heckin' missiles in there for massive damage. It also breathes I can't pronounce it. Breathes. It also breathes fire. With the giant worm destroyed, we're on our way to Chicago.
Could provide them. Jonathan Kahn.
Khan is not thrilled to see us.
Careful, Nathan. Only a fool makes jokes when he should be offering explanations.
We show him the spider ring so he captures Betty. With Betty captured and the Red Skulls on our tail, we fly support for our Zeppelin, the Pandora, until it can reach safety outside the city. Khan's massive flagship makes an appearance, and it's a cool demonstration of the game's scale. It's huge relative to the plane zipping around it and the buildings underneath. Crimson Skies, War of the Monsters, Earth Defense Force, and of course, Shadow of the Colossus. I'm a slut for scale in games. After a chaotic air battle above the city, we finally destroy Khan's airship and make our escape. We return to Chicago looking for information on Betty's location. Some local gangsters tasked us with various missions, such as protecting taxis and looting valuables off a train speeding through the city. Cool ideas, but so much of Crimson Skies feels a bit confined. The game was an early Xbox game, so the standards then aren't what they are today. It feels like a game from the early 2000s, because there are millions of little parts that, on their own, don't really matter, but when grouped together, culminate in something distinctly 6th gen. For example, a lot of quest givers being nameless voices who give you missions by you just flying near them on some point on the map and hitting X.
Welcome to the Bandit Rush Challenge. Think you can top my time?
The plane upgrades simply being non-upgraded or upgraded versions of the planes. The narrative feeling rushed and like you just walked into a movie halfway through because the world is more of a setting than a place to explore. The by-the-numbers tropical map, desert map, city map, and of course the early CGI. Though these things aren't really bad, I find them charming and part of the reason I love games from this era. Rules weren't solidified like they are today. You never really knew what a game had in store for you. After a few missions, we're introduced to a corrupt cop willing to give us info. He points us to a warehouse Betty is being held at. We defeat the singular guard escorting her, and enjoy a terrible railgun shooter section. Though this does unlock the biggest plane in the game, and the one I stuck with for the rest of my playthrough. We destroy a shocking amount of Khan's planes, Zeppelins, one of his trains, and blow up his warehouse with his own explosives.
Betty says hello.
Careful, Nathan. My patience with you is running out.
Finally, we confront Khan by teleporting into his office. We team up with Khan in order to stop Von Essen forces attacking the city, but a new type of Zeppelin makes an appearance. We destroy the Zeppelin and are treated to another cutscene.
You managed to keep Doc's plans out of Von Essen's hands, huh?
I doubt we'll hear from him again.
Is it true what they say?
What do they say?
That you have a weakness for women?
You thinking of exploiting that weakness?
Perhaps.
I feel like 90% of this game's story is simply looking for characters, but that adds to the treasure hunting feel, I guess. Regardless, we start our search in Machu Picchu, in everything but name. Immediately upon arrival, however, Von Essen forces are attacking an archaeologist in the area. We make short work of them and find out that he's looking for a way inside a secret city inside the mountains here. We need to shoot 3 of these big gold coins in the correct order in order to gain access to the underground base. This last area is really cool. It feels like a mix of South America and Skull Island. There's fog, tall mountains to zip around, and even massive bones to find. We enter the base, but the door closes behind us. This part fucking sucks. You need to dodge a bunch of traps while zipping around tight corridors. You can fly pretty slowly, and thankfully hitting walls only deals damage. It doesn't outright kill you. Eventually the caves open up and we find Von Essen's base. We take out the defending forces and are treated to another cutscene. Yeah, it's extremely campy. If you love campy, you'll love Crimson Skies. I really hate this part, because now we need to do the painful dodge the traps part again, this time in reverse and with more hazards. I died about a dozen times trying to escape.
Uh-oh, this cockpit's getting... Got an engine fire.
We escape, and because Big John is an idiot who kept our Zeppelin right next to the exploding mountain, we can't pursue Von Essen immediately. We make the necessary repairs and follow Von Essen to Chicago, arriving just in time to witness him destroying the city he wants to control. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but the game needs a flashy climax. It's awesome seeing a previous level being torn apart, not to mention the fog and rain and massive fuck-off Super Zeppelin, and it's capable of creating tornadoes which don't do any damage to our plane, but result in a hilarious animation. We have a limited time to defeat this big bad guy, as he's destroying city landmarks, and if we take too long, a mission failed state will trigger. So we destroy all the side generators, the internal ones, the fans in the back, and finally, go in for a kill by destroying the power core.
Squadron 6, confirm status!
And that's Crimson Skies. It's got a silly campy story, about 10 to 20 hours of campaign fun, and is an all-around great arcade air combat game. It'd never see a sequel, but went on to become a cult classic. Despite reviews praising the game's graphics, gameplay, and online modes, it didn't sell particularly well. The developer would go on to release MechAssault 2 for the Xbox and Shadowrun for the 360. Both games I enjoyed, before shutting down for good. Although it's got some parts I didn't enjoy, overall it's as good as I remember and has aged quite well. I recommend giving it a try. Thanks so much for watching.